With that down, let's go on to main topic number 2. And our second main topic today comes to us from Greg Thompson, who writes, "Hey, John, you mentioned that you were going to go head over and watch the Sonic movie. Just wonder if you got around to doing that and what you thought about it. As dumb as it looks, or was it actually okay, like some of the reviewers are saying?" All right, thanks a lot for sending that in, man. And yes, look, one of the movies this year, much like Call of the Wild, that looks like dumb as rocks is Sonic. This is just a stupid looking movie. And, you know, my expectations was it was going to be stupid. However, as I say all the time, you have your pre-expectations, but then you leave those at the door and then you go into a movie or TV show and judge it on its own merits, right? I thought the Harley Quinn TV show looked stupid. And now I can't get enough of it. Now I completely love it. So I started seeing these pretty decent reviews of Sonic. So I decided to go over last night. Me and Soul went over to go watch it last night. And I'll tell you this. This is what I tweeted, and then I'll elaborate on it. It's not very good. I mean, I'm just telling you, it's not very good. But that being said, it's also not all that bad. Like, certainly nowhere near as bad as I thought it was going to be. Now, let me preface everything by saying this thing here. This is important. You got to get this. This movie is very specifically made for two groups of people. All right? It, number one, is made for children. This movie is clearly made for children. Unlike, say, a Pixar film, which is kid-friendly, it is not made, those movies are not made for children. They're made for everybody, and they put a lot of work into those stories and narratives, and you get great stories, and that's what you get with Pixar. This movie is not that. This movie is very specifically targeted at children. Secondly, this movie is also very much targeted at those who are hardcore Sonic fans. And that can, to some people, can sound like a good thing. To others, it can sound like a bad thing. Like, to me, if you make an MCU movie that only appeals to people who read the comic books, you're not going to have a very popular film franchise. But it will appeal to the people who love the comic books. And I think this is a movie that will absolutely appeal to the people who are hardcore fans of the video game character Sonic. I think it'll appeal to kids. I think it'll appeal to people who are really into it. For the rest of us that are neither children nor really hardcore Sonic fans to start with, there's not a lot there, but it's also not bad. Listen, there are moments in this movie that has some legitimately decent laughs. I can't remember the name of the guy who plays John Ralphio. What's his name?
Oh, Ben Schwartz.
Ben Schwartz. Ben Schwartz voicing Sonic, really good job. I really like the manifestation of the character that he brings out with his voice. I really liked it. And I'll say this too. Jim Carrey, this is vintage Jim Carrey. And I mean that in every best possible way. Jim Carrey steals every scene that he's in. I know, Rob, you and I were at CinemaCon last year when they showed us the first little bit of Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
And we were like, okay, how's this going to come across, right? Is this going to seem like Jim Carrey, sad, tired, pathetic, desperately trying to recapture some of the former glory? Well, I'm telling you what, this is vintage Jim Carrey. He really, really works. And everybody knows I'm already a pre-existing big fan of James Marsden. I'm a big James Marsden fan. So there are certainly things about, and guess what? It's got some heart to it. This movie has some heart to it. There's actually some moments that you're actually feeling. Like the movie emotes. It does in places. It really does. So some really decent laughs. Jim Carrey's great in it. And some good moments of heart. On the negative side, I'll say this. I don't feel like for a general audience, like not hardcore game fans, not children, not enough laughs. I felt like they needed some more big laughs that would have appealed to more people. Not enough heart. But there was a lot more to it than I thought there would be. Also, I'm going to say this. The visual effects are terrible. And I'm going to say that in a very, very specific way. Because, Rob, I think you'll understand what I'm saying here. But I'll try to explain this. When most people think of visual effects, they just think of the design of the stuff that's in there. The design is fine. Where they really butchered this, I felt, was the compositing.
Ooh.
The compositing was terrible. For those of you who don't know what compositing is, just think of it like this. Think of it of layers, right? So you've got your film layer with the stuff you actually shot on camera. So there's your film layer. Then you got your CGI character, and you're putting him on top of that. You're layering it on top of that. And then maybe you're putting a little bit better of a sunset in the background. So you layer that on top of that as well. And so now you've got all these things in here, and it is the job of the compositor, and I'm way oversimplifying this. This is not scientifically, I'm just saying the compositor is the one who kind of puts all that together, right? The compositing in this movie is so bad. It's so bad. They've got these floating drone things where it totally looks like, it does not look like it's actually there. It's well designed, but it just looks like somebody stuck a sticker on the film. And there are shots and scenes with Sonic in it where he's standing against a background and he looks like a stuffed animal in front of a bad green screen. Because there are some shots of Sonic in this movie where he's standing against a background and you can literally visually black lines kind of surrounding his silhouette a little bit against it. It's just, it became kind of nerve-wracking for me.
Do you think that's because, as we famously know, that people hated the design of Sonic, so they went back to the drawing board and they redesigned Sonic, and they didn't have enough time now to go back after that redesign and make sure that the compositing was they're like, okay, well, we redesigned the character, which was more important, and our target audience it's going to be more forgiving anyway, so it's not like we have to make it look like something else, like Jurassic Park.
It's a good theory. The reason why I'm not sure, and you could be right, the reason why I'm not sure about it is because, like, in animation, it's not like they had to scrap the movie, go back to the beginning, and start from scratch with Sonic. They had all the bones in it. They had the character rigged as you were. They had all the animation done. Literally, all they had to do was change the model. That's all they had to do. So all the animation information, all that programming was done. All they had to do was change the skin.
Sure.
And then slap the new skin on it. I mean, I'm making it sound like that's the easiest thing in the world. It's not, but it's one of the easier things, as opposed to them having to reanimate it or anything. So maybe even just the new model caused compositing issues. I'm not sure. But then again, the drones, no excuse for that. I mean, it was just, by today's standards, it was kind of rough. But I gotta say, I fully expected to hate this movie, and I didn't. I didn't hate it. I actually found myself a couple of times grinning and smiling, and there is one scene in particular. I'm not going to give it away, but for those of you who have seen the movie, you'll know what I'm talking about. Standing at the elevator. There is a scene where our main characters are standing at an elevator, and there's a bag involved, and that was the best moment of the movie for me and literally got me laughing out loud. I was actually laughing out loud at that scene. I thought it was terrific. So some pros, some cons, but I think if you have kids, I think your kids are really going to like it. I think if you are a hardcore Sonic fan, and especially for you, stick around for the mid-credit scene. If you're a hardcore Sonic fan, stick around for the mid-credit scene. I think if you fall into one of those two groups of people, I think this is a movie you are really going to like. If you're anybody else, I don't think you have to avoid it. And I thought this would be a movie you'd have to avoid. But honestly, I don't think you have to avoid it. If you've got a group of friends going, hey, I think we're going to go see Sonic tonight, I think you can go along. I wouldn't go out of my way to go see it, but I don't think you have to avoid it either. So that's just kind of my thoughts on Sonic. Guys, question is, have you guys had a chance to see Sonic? If so, jump on down to the comment section below and let me know what you thought about the movie. Anyway,